Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of One Piece anime episode 783. Oh man, this one. This is one of those episodes where, like, I've talked about it in the past. I think I haven't had an episode like this since Dressrosa, where I was just like, it really, like, almost pisses me off because I'm like, there were so many great moments in the manga pre-time skip, and the anime handled it really, really well. And there's been so much good story, so much great story in the manga after the time skip, but the anime has just butchered most of it. And every once in a while you get these episodes that show that, where you're just like, man, Toei does not give a shit about One Piece. They're just phoning it in and making an episode just to collect a paycheck. And that's what this episode felt like. It was like, oh man, I was so disappointed. Like, it's not like it was going to be a huge episode that I was really looking forward to, but man, it just really felt like it's one of those where Toei didn't give a shit about One Piece. So at the very beginning, I was already like really, I don't know, I guess pissed with the episode, really thinking that Toei was being super lazy with it, when at the very beginning, instead of getting a new opening, we just get an alternate of the past opening, which they've done like 3, maybe 4 times post-time skip, which is another thing that has been shit post-time skip. Man, the openings have been disappointing. So yeah, the only really good opening post-time skip I can remember was Hands Up. But yeah, that was just so lazy of them. It really bothered me. And stuff like this is like, I was like, man, just trying to get through this episode, I was like, this is part of the reason why I kind of wanted to step back from reviewing the anime week to week, just because it pisses me off that though One Piece is such a great series, Toei really, there are so many examples of Toei just not giving a shit about the quality of what they put out. There was a long recap at the beginning, but I'm not going to complain about that. I thought that was totally reasonable. We just came off a filler arc. We're heading into a new arc. I think a long recap is completely reasonable. But then after that, we see the Straw Hats in the storm, which was a fine scene, nothing wrong with that. And then Sanji is going into Big Mom's territory with the Cotton Candy Snow, and he's with Tamago on that ship and everything. And the problem I had here is there were a lot of really long still frames that I'm like, it seems like they're drawing the episode out, because there'd be like 3 to 6 seconds of sometimes not even any dialogue and just a really long still frame. And it's not like they were trying to build up suspense and tension, because there wasn't really much suspense or tension to build up. And that, and another huge problem was weird movements. One thing I remembered is there was one frame of Sanji lifting up his cigarette to his face, and his hands were massive. And that was another thing, and I saw some other people complaining about that as well, is there was a lot of off-model animation, like really badly off-model. Vito then brings in a picture of Pudding, and man, the animation went from, why is it so weirdly off-model, to damned bad. When they were walking around, even the soldiers and the background characters walking around looked really bad. Their walking animation was terrible. And like, I didn't even know why it was so terrible. It was like weirdly bad. At the end, when we went back to Luffy and the rest of the crew on the Sunny, all the animation there, I'm not going to say it looked great, but it looked like normal One Piece animation. It looked like what we get every single week. But this looked like a big step down, especially to be coming off a filler and going back into a canon arc. I don't get it. I don't get why it was that bad. Vito then talks about Sanji with the World Economic Times comics. And really, what bothered me with this is, I thought it would have maybe been a little bit cool if we had got those comic-style animations as Vito was telling the story of what was going on or whatever, but it was like Vito said very briefly what the comics were about, and then after saying that very briefly, we got like 30 seconds or so, maybe even longer, of just no dialogue, nothing, just frames, not really still frames, but like layered frames, like a PNG over a background, and they're moving in 2 separate directions. We got a couple of those frames, and it just lasted for a really long time with no dialogue or story. So I was really disappointed at that as well. We see Caesar is trapped in the cage. And And another thing that bothered me, and it got even worse with the scene with Caesar and everything, is normally, I don't remember One Piece using cartoony sound effects like that, at least not often. There is always the little bit of cartoony stuff in comedy scenes, but it seemed like throughout almost this episode, there's like the wacky comedy cartoon sounds whenever anything happens. Especially footsteps were terrible. Sanji knocking on the door sounded terrible. The footsteps, especially when, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the woman who looks like Lola, especially when she comes in and her footsteps, and for some reason they had the voice actress like go, every time she took a footstep, like, it was really weird and bad. It was just, the direction for this was terrible. I don't even like I said, the ending scene with the Straw Hats was fine, so I don't get why all the stuff with Sanji on the ship was so badly directed, so badly animated, and the sound was so bad. I don't understand at all why this one grouping of sequences was so much worse than anything we've got in the past few weeks, or anything else in the episode that was apart from that. I don't know who was in charge of this part, but it was bad. And it made me even sadder, though, because I really liked Vito's voice actor here, and the back and forth with Sanji, and Sanji's voice actor did well as well. And it really made me, because I enjoy Vito in the manga a bit, and it really made me enjoy him in this scene in the anime, and I'm like, but if it wasn't so distractingly bad, if there weren't just random cartoon sound effects thrown in, if there weren't just terrible animation, this scene could have been pretty enjoyable between the two. Like I said, it wouldn't have been this iconic One Piece scene or anything, but it would have been a lot better if they didn't have all this terrible stuff thrown in. Also, I saw a lot of people complaining about the gaudy color scheme. He gets introduced as well during this scene. Yeah, I don't really like it, but it's still not as bothersome to me as the, well, you'll see coming in the next few weeks, some other color schemes that we have already seen images of what the color schemes will look like, and they look really disappointing and bad. So then we do get back to the Straw Hats, and like I said, when we get back to the Straw Hats, at first I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to give this a terrible score. I really didn't like it. But this scene brought it back a lot for me, because the Straw Hats, I thought the animation looked normal, and it was actually really funny seeing Luffy look at Chopper and be like, emergency food. Or when everybody was cheering on Luffy, and he was just making those noises trying to reel in the fish. I thought that was all really funny, and I thought it looked normal for One Piece. So that was all good. I don't understand why that was so good, but the rest of the episode was so much worse than normal. So yeah, as the episode as a whole, I would say the Straw Hat animation was normal, the Sanji animation was horrible. It was really hard to focus on the story because it was so bad, and you were constantly like assaulted by this mess of sounds. And yeah, it made me really angry and disappointed watching this. Like, those were my emotions watching this episode, was anger and disappointment at how Toei has the rights to do a One Piece anime, and they are just phoning it in, collecting a paycheck, and not giving a shit about the quality of the One Piece anime. Which is sad, because it could be such a great show, and there were many times when it was such a great show, but Toei has just really been fisting it lately. So yeah, I was really disappointed here. To give it a score, I was originally gonna give it a 4, but then after seeing the scene with Goatee and the woman who looks like Lola and everything, I was like, oh man, this is terrible. I'm gonna bump it all the way down to a 2, but that Straw Hat scene brought it back for me all the way to 3.5 pictures of pudding. Oh, that's not a good 3.5 comic strips out of 10? That one's not very good either. But either way, 3.5 out of 10. Boiling seas. Just thinking of things that were in the episode. But yeah, 3.5 out of 10. I hope you guys did like the video. Like if you did like it. Comment down there, tell me what you thought of this episode. I'm honestly not expecting very many people. Like, maybe people didn't think it was as bad as I did, but I think many people probably did. Even if you didn't think it was that bad, I'm not sure there are very many people who thought it was particularly good for a One Piece episode. For me, it even made me miss the manga, or it made me miss the filler, because the filler was most certainly better than this. Each episode of the filler was more exciting than this. Oh yeah, before I even get into the like, comment, subscribe stuff, that was another issue I saw, was that there were people complaining about the pacing. I thought the pacing seemed alright. I thought it covered like 2 manga chapters worth, but there were some, maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly, because there were some people saying it only covered like half a manga chapter's worth. And if so, if that's the case, I didn't think the pacing was that bad, but if it is really going that slowly, then I don't get what the point of the filler was if we're still going to be paced that badly. And really, I think they should have just carried on the filler a bit longer, maybe made the filler, don't put that much attention into it, because you don't really need to with the filler, and still have it be generally entertaining. And just save and make sure that you've got the stuff down and you're really, really ready to take on the whole cake arc, because this did not feel like they were ready at all. It felt like they didn't care. But either way, I said like and comment before, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you want to for more One Piece, both anime and manga. A ton of other anime and manga on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want to try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. That is it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.